Hello everyone, welcome to Vasista's channel. Today we're going to be talking about urban water filtration. Specifically, we'll be talking about chlorine and chloramine and ways that we can try to remove them from our water. Now these chemicals are added to our water to make sure that they don't contain live bacteria that could potentially harm us. And these live bacteria are sometimes even useful for us, so there's this, chloramine could potentially cause harm to us as well by eliminating our own microbiome, especially in our gut. Also, plants watered with chlorine-containing water demonstrate stunned growth, and I love plants and that's totally not cool. There's also suspicion, based on some studies, that chlorine can cause cancer and some other health issues, but running prospective studies to verify these results would be a very difficult thing to do, especially with interest involved. I personally cannot confirm that chlorinated water is bad for you, but I'm certainly not drinking it, bathing in it, or watering my plants with it. So if you're like me and would like to stay away from chlorinated water or chloraminated water, then continue to watch this video. Now, simply chlorinated water, if we take it and put it somewhere, it will take about 4 or 5 hours for chlorine to come out. Now, if we add chloramine to it, which if we take chloraminated water, which is chlorine and ammonia, and set it there, it's going to take much longer for that chlorine to come out of the water. Now, where I live, they use chloramine to disinfect the water, and I will go over steps how to remove chloramine from the water, which also effectively takes care of removing chlorine from the water. After going over these steps and installing the dechlorination system, we will go ahead and test for total chlorine in the water filtered and before filtration. Now, to remove the chlorine and chloramine from the entire house, obviously you have to install filter that applies to the water coming inside of the house right from the beginning. In case of my house, water enters through this tube here. This is just a valve here for opening and closing the main. And then it enters into the pressure regulator right here, which basically reduces the city pressure into the pressure that the house can take, so it's not too high or too low, and it can be regulated. After this, I attach the system, allowing the filtration system to be placed in between. So this is diverted in this way and comes down here. This is open, this is closed, enters through the filtration system and comes back this way and enters back into the house. Now in this case, this goes out back into the front and backyard for like attaching the hose, watering plants, etc. And this part here goes towards the actual house for drinking water, shower, so forth. There's also this system here in between it, as you can see. This is a backwash system that I installed for these filters, and I will discuss that just in a little bit. Alright, I will show you now what's inside this filter, and I'm going to take it off. So for that, I'm going to turn the water going in and out of the filters, remove the pressure from here, which just by pressing this button, or I could just open this over here, which will depressurize this system. I'm going to take this tool and twist it the other way. Open. Alright, turn it up. Alright, let's talk about the filter inside now. This is just a rubber washer, and here's the filter. I'm going to spots are rusted on. All right, the filter housing, the outside of it, I purchased online, and it's just an empty area. Inside is located catalytic carbon, which catches the chlorine and chloramine. And essentially what happens is that water comes in here. It goes around the filter down and then enters the filter media from these areas here, and it comes up from here and then enters this side of this housing and then moves on to the next filter. So essentially water comes in and goes through entire column of this filtration media and then moves on to the next area. Now this thing called catalytic carbon is not the same thing as activated carbon. It's a specially designed material that is manufactured in a specific way, and I purchased it and came into this bag somewhere from California. That's just something you can order online as well. One more thing to remember about filling these empty cartridges with activated or in this case catalytic carbon is that whenever you put carbon inside, make sure you wear an N95 mask on your face so that you avoid breathing in carbon dust. Okay, now I'm going to put this back in and install it. Make sure there's this washer in there and just screw it on. Turn it on. Alright, now I'm going to let the water into the system as we reviewed. It comes in here, goes over here. This is locked. I'm going to open this part. Now the air is going to come out of here. It looks like we're okay now. And I'm going to open the entire house now. Alright. There's some more air on the other side. Basically both filters are identical. Alright, this is all set. And now that we have done this and installed the filters, let's make sure that the water filtration is actually working. So we're going to test the system for chlorine before it enters the filters, after it enters filters, and one more thing we're going to test is how the backwash system is effective, or if at all it works. So here we have three types of water we're going to collect. First one is municipal water. We're going to document total chlorine, and which is chloramine and chlorine together. Filtered water through our filter here that we just discussed, and as well as a backwash type of water. Now here we have three glasses. All of them have been rinsed with reverse osmosis water, so it should really have no chlorine in it. Okay, we're collecting municipal water. It's open, open. All right. Next thing is collecting filtered water through catalytic carbon. I'm going to rinse this a little bit and collect the water. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to collect backwash water. Essentially what this water is that as the water was passing through this way and getting filtered and going to the house, we're going to reverse the flow of water and recover some of the water from the beginning of the filter. The idea is that the chlorine is bound to the carbon in a higher concentration at the beginning of the filter, and if we reverse the flow of water, some of that chlorine may be dislodged from the carbon, and we may be able to wash the filter material to give the filter medium and longer life. So we're going to test this theory the way I think we can test this is that if we reverse the direction of the flow of water, the first catch of that water should have higher chlorine content than the city water. And if this is the case, then this would prove that perhaps backwashing does indeed help. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to follow these valves and make sure we do the right thing. So the water comes in from the city water, comes in here. So we don't want it to go to the filter. We're going to lock this, close this, and open the other side so that it comes towards this side now. And comes and goes down here and comes over here. Some of it will go towards the house, but we don't have to worry about that. Comes over here and backwashes out, and it's gonna hit this area. It's locked up, and we're gonna open this area now, okay? The testing strips we're going to use is called total chlorine testing SenSafe, which is basically testing for free chlorine and monochloramines, which basically catches both total chlorine as well as chloramine to be able to kind of combine both of those chlorines in one. And I will follow these instructions based on method B, which gives us a little bit more accurate results in terms of what levels might be there. Instead of, well, actually, yeah, I can go with method B, which is immersion time of about 10 seconds instead of 30 seconds. And then it's supposed to give us parts per million a little bit more accurately within 0 to 1 range versus the other method is 0 to 10 range, and we'll see what we get. If we need to, we can go back to 0 to 10 range. All right. So I'm going to fold one of these strips like so based on instructions and immerse it for 10 seconds starting now. All right, 10 seconds have passed. We're supposed to wait for 30 seconds at this moment, starting now. All right, 30 seconds have passed. We're supposed to correlate this with this chart, and you can somehow see, you can see that this is about I'll give it 0.5. 0.5, maybe between 0.2 and 0.5, but there is some chlorine inside, possibly I would say about 0.5. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to check filtered water through our filters here, the same method. 10-second immersion starting now. All right, that's over. We're gonna wait for 30 seconds now. And all right, now we're at 30 seconds. So 30-second mark, closer here. This looks pretty good, but looks like it's 0. So I'm gonna put down here 0. Last thing we're going to do is this backwash water. 10 seconds starting now. And 10 seconds are over. We're going to wait for 30 seconds now. Timer's on. All right, 30 seconds are over. We're comparing to this chart again. And that also looks like more like 0.5, perhaps about the same as city water or municipal water. And there we have those results. In summary, chlorine and chloramine filtration works with this method. You also saw the backwash system testing. I plan to test water every 6 months or so, and I expect about 5 years out of the filter media, and then probably I'll just change that. At the end, if you like this information, spread the knowledge and share this link with others.